All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about somewhat real music. Been doing it real time for a few real people out there, just like you and just like me. So, REO Speedwagon hit the road last night with Train. I think they opened up for Train. I don't know. Maybe they alternate, but from the article that I read and some of the footage that I watched, I mean, I got the impression that REO was the opening act for Train, which is kind of sad if that's true, but I'm thinking they alternate. Anyway, before I talk about REO Speedwagon and the end of classic rock, here's Atlantic and their album. It's called Another World. I keep plugging this. Haven't had too many people get back to me on this, so I might just not plug it anymore. Um, had some good response to some of the other things that I've talked about this year. The album is called Another World. It sounds a bit like Asia, Foreigner, Saga, Prism. I think the album reminds me of Prism, like the album artwork a little bit. So that might be my reason for saying it's like Prism. Golden Earring, which I just threw in there for the heck of it. So check it out. I think it's pretty good, courtesy of Escape Music. Now, if you're trying to escape and go to a concert, right? People send me messages all day long. Dave, I'm going to such and such tonight. I'm like, have a good time. I don't know. They're trying to get me involved in it. Like, hey, what do you think? I'm going to this. Well, seen them before. REO Speedwagon, gonna go see them. Yup, saw them in 2010. Don't need to see them again. They were pretty good in 2010. Uh, they had come out with an album in 2007, 2008. Find Your Own Way Home or something like that. That might have been the song or the album title. I can't remember. I have it in my collection. I went to Walmart and it was like a 3 disc thing where you got this live set that they did at XM Radio. You got the new album, and then I think you got like a DVD or something with it, or a live version of High Infidelity. I think that's what it was. And that was pretty good. Kevin was still kind of on point. What's happened since with both Kevin Cronin and Don Barnes from 38 Special, these guys had robust, sort of deeper voices. It was down in here more. It was from the diaphragm. It's like somebody grabbed the bass knob and then they just turned all of the bass off and then they turned the treble up and then they kind of brought the EQ down in general. If you know what I'm talking about, that's kind of the way these guys sound now. So, a good indicator of this is like a layperson, like my wife, who will listen to the original stuff in the car and then she'll hear a more recent performance. She'll be like, oh no. That's what she'll say. Oh no. And I'll go, yeah. And she's like, so what happened? I'm like, aging. I mean, seriously. There are very few performers. We talk about this on this particular show. John Anderson, freak of nature. Like his new stuff, I sent that to everybody, and people are like, no way. I mean, he's almost 80 years old, and he is still the John Anderson that sang Roundabout. He's that guy. He's still that guy. And yeah, is there a difference between the super young, but John's voice is still there. Um, Mickey Thomas from Starship. I haven't heard him very recently, but at the beginning of the year, I spent some time listening, and he's still he's still doing that Mickey Thomas thing. It's pretty insane. And there are a couple of others. You know, if Paul Rogers was out here doing stuff, people would marvel because his voice seems to be intact as well. And, you know, you can go down the list. Mickey Dolenz, speaking of Mickey's, Mickey Dolenz is a one-man show these days out on the road, and he still belts those songs out. Last Train to Clarksville, still I mean, he's doing a good thing, keeping that franchise alive. He's the last monkey standing. But when it comes to REO Speedwagon, Kevin Cronin throwing a lot of off-speed stuff out there. And he's been doing that, I would say, probably since about 2018, 2019. And here's something that is true. These bands aren't getting better. You know what they say? They just get better with age. Nope, not in this particular occupation, right? Unless you replace everybody, and then you have to bring in people that sound like the originals, and you have to play like the original band with vigor and like you're trying to make it. There's a big difference between a hungry band from the 70s and 80s trying to prove themselves, trying to outdo the other bands, to a band that knows, hey, we can make $1 million if we do these gigs coming up. We can make $1 million. So let's see if we can get through this, right? And they slog through it, and they're respectable to some degree, but it's nowhere near where these bands were at their peak. And again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's mortality, um, genetics, however you want to look at it. I mean, this was never meant to be a long-term sport. That's what I've been saying. The few people that do extend this, Eric Clapton. Why? How did I manage to miss Eric? Eric Clapton is defying logic right now. Both his playing and his singing is 1990-ish sounding to me. I mean, yeah, his voice changed over the years, but he's still where he was like 30 years ago. It's pretty remarkable. So REO goes out with Train, which is kind of a weird choice, but I guess because they're both vehicles like Train, and then you have an REO Speedwagon, which I believe is some type of a fire engine or truck or something. It's Yeah, that's the pairing. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because the bands aren't anything alike, other than the fact that, yeah, during the 90s, you would hear Keep On Loving You, and then you'd hear like Drops of Jupiter or something right after it on your favorite adult contemporary radio station that's still playing the same songs they played 30 years ago, but they've added a decade into it. I mean, what's it going to be like in the year 2040? Playing the songs from 1985 all the way till now. It's just stop with all the decades. Just let the oldies go where the older people are. Don't try to incorporate. It's almost like they're trying to bring the old music in to like placate the people who are here now, because those people are like, boy, does this music that you're playing really stinks. Oh, but you're bringing in some good stuff from the 80s. Okay, I'll listen to this station. It's like, and that has to have some impact in how they're actually formatting these days. It's just bizarre. But the big question here, because this video is about REO Speedwagon, would I go see REO Speedwagon today? Yes, on a couple of conditions. Number one, they were free tickets or very discounted tickets, very, very discounted tickets, but more likely if they were free. Number two, if the show was like under 50 miles away from my house, preferably on a Friday or Saturday night, but I may make an exception if it's close enough to the house. I may go. But I guarantee you, I'd be looking at my wife during the whole show. I'm sorry. This isn't what you expected. Can't fight this feeling. The cadence was off. His voice was very weak during that part where you expected it to be stronger. And see, this is the thing that I don't want to deal with, right? And then I'm paying, if I'm not getting the break on the tickets, I'm paying through the nose. And speaking of noses, right, I'm going to be in a nosebleed seat. It's just most likely, if it's a big enough place, I'll be somewhere in the corner. That's always the discounted seat. Oh, I can get this seat for $27. Yeah, it's like a half a mile from the stage, and there's a pole that's right in your way. And then there are people getting up during the entire concert because older folks have to use the bathroom more than younger folks used to have to use the bathroom. So everybody is standing or getting in your way. Am I complaining too much? Yeah. See, this is it. It's a lot of people watching. I do that. When I go to concerts, I just watch people. I watch people who are pretending that they're still 30 years old. And I'm like, dude, that's just not working. That setup there, those clothes that you wear, that setup. It's just no, no. Put on a big t-shirt like me, maybe a pair of jeans or pair of baggy shorts, and then just stop trying to buckle everything in. It's not working. So anyway, yeah, no, REO probably should have quit like 2017-ish, 38 special, maybe 2019-ish. It's been over. Sticks can go on. Sticks because they have Tommy, and Tommy's voice is pretty strong still. See, I'm saying something good about Tommy. And and plus they get the spinning keyboard guy and he's entertaining. But yeah, Styx, I think, has a little more gas in the tank in that regard. But pretty soon it's going to catch up with them too. It's definitely they're not a bad performance. In other words, I'm not saying Styx can't do their thing live. They can. In fact, if they incorporate more DDY songs into their set, people are going to love Styx. Night Ranger is pretty good. I've seen some footage and they're still hitting on most cylinders. Kelly Keegi, though, again, he was the guy with the voice in the band, and now he's kind of, I don't know. I guess if you're gonna go see Night Ranger, it's still all right. But I would not. I don't know. I don't think I would go to REO. I saw them in 2010. Saw them with Styx and 38 Special. I'm good. I'm good. So, but this is a big tour this summer with Train, and maybe they're opening up for Train. Maybe they're alternating. If you're going to these shows and you're a patron or whatever, let me know. Let me know what you think. A lot of my fans on this channel are far more forgiving than I am about certain things. I grew up in an era. I was talking to my friend Nancy last night, and she was saying, I grew up in the greatest time, right? I was talking about Steelers Wheel yesterday and how Joe Egan had just passed away. And that was some pretty darn good music, right? That was some great stuff from the 70s. And she's like, yeah, I'm just blessed to have lived through that era of music. And so I'm not trying to hold on to it. I understand that at a certain point you have to let go of it, especially if it doesn't sound very good. You just say, you know what, guys? I saw you when you were really good. Nothing's going to top that. I don't want to screw up the memory I have. So, yeah, I'll just live vicariously through other people and have them report back to me, which I get that a lot. People will send me footage and they'll say, "What do you think of this?" And I'll go, it's okay. It's all right. Not as good when I saw these guys back in 1986." And so anyway, folks, REO Speedwagon, who else? Well, obviously 38 Special should probably call it a career. They're in the same boat. They're not as high profile as REO. And I love Don Barnes too. He's another guy who I think is amazing, but the voices are so different. They're thin. And like I described at the beginning, the treble has been turned all the way up, the bass all the way down, and then the EQ is also brought down. So it's like less power, no bottom end, and either, I don't know, some voices get deeper, but I'm thinking years and years of singing. Maybe these guys should just incorporate the AI and just don't tell anybody. Just, you'll fool me probably. And I'll say, boy, all of a sudden they sound great. Better than they've ever sounded. Best, I don't know. They must have taken their vitamins or ate their Wheaties or something. Something changed. So anyway, folks, that will be the future one way or another. It will be artificial intelligence. Here's a band putting out real music. I don't know if they tour. They probably aren't coming to the States. The band is called Atlantic, and their album is called Another World. So check them out. Some new material for your stale music collection, since REO hasn't put out an album since 2007. And I'm thinking 38 Special was maybe what, 2013? Might be longer ago than that. I don't know. But 38 Special, they were supposed to actually put out a new record. Someone was telling me they were going to release new material. That would be interesting to hear what they can do in the studio. My name is Dave. Thanks for watching me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, be a sub. Also, Patreon, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee. If this video was a good video for you, you could buy me a coffee and say, hey, man, thanks for being honest about REO Speedwagon. Or just giving my take. You may have a completely different take. You may be like, I was in the front row. It was the best concert I've ever seen. Kevin Cronin is better than he was in 1977. And I'm going to say, okay, if that's what you think, we'll just go with that. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the 70s REO with old pal Gary Richrath. Man, was that guy good. That guy was a beast, and he is definitely missed. Anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you soon.